Eugenio De Medio.
Unique works. Chronotopes. The Greek terms chronos, time, and topos, place, are the origin of the term chronotope, which denotes the oneness of space and time as inseparable dimensions with important consequences in both contemporary physics and the humanities. As part of the theory of relativity, the mathematician Hermann Minkowski, who was born in what is now Lithuania, then a part of the Russian Empire, and who became a naturalized German, presented the idea of chronotope, or four-dimensional space, in 1908. The idea was adopted by the Russian philosopher and critic Mikhail Mikhailovich to highlight the essential coherence of time and space that forms a story. He symbolized how a text story, characters, and genre are shaped by the interplay between its temporal and spatial coordinates. This four-dimensionality can also be found in works that predate the concept's articulation. For example, in literature, particularly novels, one may come across geographical chronotopes, which are specific locations where the story's plot develops at different points in time, psychological chronotopes, which are narratives told subjectively by the characters and frequently depict reality in a distorted manner, and metaphysical chronotopes, which are concerned with the author's understanding of the world, with symbolic or philosophical visions of time and space, frequently implied by elements of mystery or transcendence. Bakhtin believed that the visual arts were instantaneous and non-sequential, as opposed to verbal narrative. He likely based this belief on classical painting, which he believed to be suspended in the air, meaning it lacked a chronological dimension. However, even though the visual arts include features that are comparable to or different from those of literature, the idea can be used to evaluate how time and place can be a part of the works and determine them. The chronotope is a compact and dense time that appears in a single image. For instance, it can be defined as the condensation and simultaneity of several points of view or temporal moments in a single visual space. One example of this is Mark Chagall's 1911 piece Me and My Country. The biblical stories or stories of the saints of the ancient masters, who merge several tale episodes on a single visual plane, are also like this. In her series Autorretrato en el Tiempo, Spanish artist Esther Ferrer also reflects on time and how it is perceived by using self-portraits taken years apart. The loss of depth, which gives the impression of out of focus or ill-defined space, is another pictorial approach. As a result, a visual space that is suspended and not restricted by a traditional temporal dimension is produced. This is the route taken by Douglas Gordon's works, which, albeit using a different medium, extend the narrative duration of films to 24 hours in order to influence the audience's experience of time and space. In the visual arts, the idea of chronotope can be combined with other forms of expression that completely depart from the storytelling that is diminished in images, particularly when the authors intentionally use the concept rather than others reading the works retrospectively. For instance, in the works of Milanese artist Nunda Vigo, who released her Chronotopic Manifesto in 1964, frosted glass panels filter the light from white neon, distorting the sense of space. Bakhtin's perspective of painting as a static, suspended image is dispelled by the deliberate use of the chronotope concept, which introduces a dynamic of relationships between author, narration, image, viewer, and world. A critical vision of the reality of the work, of oneself, of society, and of the world is stimulated by the chronotope, which enables us to comprehend how the visual work expresses a dimension that is not only aesthetic but also ethical and cognitive, in which identity manifests itself as a responsible and dialogic behavior. My research on chronotopes presents the spatio-temporal relationship in 3 different ways that may be categorized, despite the fact that they are sometimes combined. The pliage technique lets the expressive space dominate the 3rd dimension by projecting parts of the canvas towards the back wall or the viewer and sometimes leaving it uncovered. In addition to the use of revived historic textiles, light also provides a dimension of time by changing the image through different placements of light sources, producing regions that are both lighted and shaded, as well as the viewer's perspective, which continuously modifies how the works are viewed. This happens subjectively for a single observer traveling through the room as well as from multiple viewers present at the same time, all of whom are obviously in distinct points of view. The realized pieces thus promote a critical and nuanced view of reality, inspiring reflection on the subjectivity of how things and the world are viewed. Time is introduced in the series of fossils of anthropic space by the idea of works in which one imagines that, in an undefined future, one of our descendants or an alien finds, during archaeological excavations, objects that are common to us but have been petrified and no longer have any sense of use or meaning for them. As a result, they are regarded as museum exhibits and given hypothetical names that are occasionally odd or humorous to us. Here, the indeterminacy of conventions and definitions that, in reality, only apply in a specific physical, temporal, and, most importantly, social space is reflected in addition to the play of light and shadow symbolized by the objects accumulated on the tablets, which alludes to the earlier considerations. The pictorial surfaces in the series, more precisely known as chronotopes, become less static and conquer space by being ripped, crushed, or released from the confines of geometric form. When they are there, archetypal signs and symbols also separate from the visual surface to the extent that they are free to speak directly to the rear wall or flow into space. Similar to the preceding categories, the placement of the light and spectators, as well as in certain situations, the movement and engagement with the works influence how the fourth dimension is seen.